Hey guys, this is Martin Perdomo The Elite Strategist, and today you're listening to Latinos in Real Estate Investing podcast. Today I have a special guest, a friend. Her name is Tina Pineiro. I said that correctly, Tina,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Well, that's Portuguese. It's not Spanish. It is Portuguese, and I told her I'm going to say it my way, right? And Tina is a special guest to me because she's a colleague in a way. Tina is a hypnotherapist, instructor, and a coach who provides in-person and online growth and learning experiences for clients to achieve their personal and professional goals. So a lot of the reason I have Tina here, I consider Tina a colleague. She's a hypnotherapist, and a lot of you guys, what you guys don't know about me is that I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. And that's what earns me the right. I'm a certified coach and a certified hypnotherapist, and that's what earns me the right to coach many of you, to work on many people's mindset. So this is a special interview to me because this is a colleague, and we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about limiting beliefs. And as you all know, I'm always talking about in this show. I'm always talking about the importance of mindset, right? The importance of getting out of your own way, the importance of your belief system. And I know this is a real estate podcast, but 80% of success is mindset, 20% is skill set, and which equals 100% success. So welcome, Tina. I know that I didn't do you enough justice with my intro. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tina?
Well, I've been a hypnotist for about 14 years and an instructor for about 10 years. And I've worked with everybody that you could think of, from professional to personal needs, kids up to people in their 80s.
Perfect, beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna get right into it, Tina,
Sure.
with you, okay? I wanna ask you, what is the one thing that you find that most people have struggles with in their own way? Like, you know, what's the one thing you find most people have struggles with in achieving success? What's that one common thread you found over these 14 years? A lot longer than I've been certified as a hypnotherapist. So I know you have a ton more experience than me, so please educate me.
Pretty much, you're going to find the same thing I already know you do. It's confidence, and it's your limiting beliefs from, what you think you can achieve to what you actually can achieve.
So what is a limiting belief? Give me an example of a limiting belief, because I'm always talking about that on this episode, on this show. For the most part, I'm always alluding to limiting beliefs. So tell us, what is a limiting belief? What does that mean? What's a person's limiting belief?
Well, it's different things that they get, different messages that they get in their subconscious mind that kind of get stuck there. And they get these messages from different things that happen to them in their lifetime. Perhaps, a personal encounter, perhaps a teacher gave them a message at some point, and they have these limited beliefs, and they don't even realize that they have them in their subconscious. They don't even remember most of the time the event that happened. One of my favorite stories for that is about Steve Harvey. And I don't know if you've ever heard this before.
No, share it with me, please.
In elementary school, he was supposed to write an essay, and I'm sure I don't get all the details exactly, but he's supposed to write an essay about what he wanted to be when he grew up.
Steve Harvey, correct?
Yes, and he really wanted to be on TV making people laugh. And that's great if you know that at that particular age. Amazing. So this child writes this beautiful essay and gives it to the teacher. And the teacher says to him, "Stephen, this is not realistic. Do you know anybody on TV? Do you know anybody in show business?" And all these things that she says to him. So now he's very discouraged. But he went home and told his father. And his father made him keep the essay and told him, "You can be whatever you want," not to listen to the woman. Now, she didn't really mean, anything bad by it, but the father did the right thing and said, "Let me tell you, you can be whatever you want." And, the story's told there. Yeah.
Steve Harvey, right? Steve Harvey. He has a great story, sleeping in his car. I've heard some of his stories, homeless, sleeping in his car. But that's a really, really, really good illustration. And the one word that usually I find that holds people back, and please pay attention, guys, is the word realistic. Whenever you hear that word, be realistic, that means that you've sent a command to your unconscious mind to stop being creative.
Right.
To stop being creative. Do you think that, what's the guy's name, the guy from Amazon, if he was being a realistic, I mean, he's the richest man in the world, you think if he was being realistic, we'd have Amazon?
No.
Right? We'd have Tesla, we'd have electricity, we'd have all these things, right? It was their creativity, it was their belief system, it was their belief system. So when you hear that type of language, how do you deal with it? You know what, when you hear that type of language, how do you deal with clients? And I want to ask you about hypnosis, about hypnotherapy, because a lot of people think that hypnotherapy is woo-woo, right? And they're scared, right?
Yes.
And I'll share this with you real quick before you answer that question. I had my local real estate investors meet up, and I shared this with you a little while ago. And I had a guest I had one of my guests, and on the phone, before he showed up, I was on the phone with him, and I said, most people don't know that, I'm a real estate investor and I'm a coach, but I'm also a certified hypnotherapist, right? And he was like, whoa, that's kind of scary. Like, that's the first thing he thought is scary. So I want you to educate us on what is hypnosis, what is hypnotherapy, what is it, what does it do? Because people think, hey, we manipulate people, that we got this woo-woo thing. And it's nothing like that at all.
Nothing.
So language. First, answer me the first question. Language. How do you deal with people that have that language, and then how to explain to us what hypnotherapy is? Sorry about that. I have so much I want to get out of you here.
I definitely understand. About the language, you're saying about limiting beliefs. How do I deal with something like that? Well, I challenge their beliefs. I ask them their statements. Why can't you do this? And then they tell me. And then I challenge those statements, and I create this, kind of conflict in their mind between exactly. The pre-talk is so important, and we do get to reframe everything so that they're more open to the, hypnosis first, and then second to any thinking in different new creative ways. So one of the things that is the most important for me is the pre-talk. I get a lot of work done before that, and I look at what their thinking is based upon what they tell me. They tell me everything that I need to know in order to make a really nice script, and I'll explain that in hypnosis, in order for me to make a really nice script for that to talk to their subconscious mind. To their
unconscious mind, yes.
Absolutely. So let's talk about hypnosis. It is not what everybody thinks it is. The movies have been wonderful for promoting it, and it looks like a lot of fun, but it's not even realistic in any way of what is actually happening there. With hypnosis, we're relaxing the conscious mind, talking to the subconscious to change a habit or do something different. I'll give you an example. I have a young man who's 17 years old who has ADHD. And he is having a lot of trouble in school. He's having a lot of trouble with homework and things like that. And his father contacted me. And his father didn't know anything about hypnosis, but I explained it to him. But then they made the appointment, and the young man in the car, both of them are on the phone, and he's talking to me and saying, well, isn't it going to change my mind? Do you think this is smart with what I already have? It doesn't change your mind. You decide to change your mind.
It's a decision the conscious mind makes. That's correct.
Yes. It's a decision to go into hypnosis, to allow it to happen, to relax to that point. It is really self-hypnosis. You allow it, and when you do, there are places where we could make some major changes. Now, hypnosis isn't going to cure ADHD, but it can help them with the habits of the weaknesses that he has, and build them and make strengths out of them.
Perfect.
So
that's a great illustration. My instructor, of which is one of the he studied with the founders of NLP and all this stuff. The founder is Eric is I forget his name. Erickson is one of the ones that really good at hypnosis. But anyways, late Erickson. You know, Tad James, the way he explained it to us when I got certified was, and the way I explain it to people, the way he showed us to explain it to people is, listen, close your eyes, and while you have your eyes closed, I'm going to tell you to stand up, right? You're going to stand up. I'm going to tell you now, turn around. You're going to turn around. Now, if I was to tell you, take off your clothes and go run around in the streets naked, are you going to do that? You're going to open your eyes and say you're crazy, right? So you're in total control. Mm-hmm. You're in total control when we're talking to your unconscious mind. And that was a great illustration that Tad gave us. You make a decision, hey, you want to change, or you really want to work. Your unconscious mind, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that your unconscious mind is that part of your mind that keeps your heart beating 100 times a day without you having to think about it. That's how powerful it is. Napoleon Hill references the unconscious mind hundreds of times in his book, Think and Grow Rich, which is one of the top personal development book of all time, right? Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about the unconscious mind. And I want to wrap it up. I want to loop it, not wrap it up. I want to loop it around to real estate. So one of the biggest challenges that I find, right, when I'm talking to investors is there's a lot of common excuses, because I believe they're stories. There's a lot of common stories that their unconscious mind tells them. And one of the common stories is, well, I don't have enough money, or I don't have money.
Yes.
I can't do that. I don't have money. I need money. And the other one is, well, I have a job. I don't have the time.
Right. Oh, those are the two biggest, yes.
I don't have the time. What would you tell someone right now that's listening that wants to build a portfolio? Maybe they want to become a flipper. Maybe they want to become an investor. Maybe they want to buy and hold and create cash flow and retire and create wealth through real estate investing. What advice would you give them as a certified coach, hypnotherapist? What would you tell them that they can do to get out of their own way and to change that story? You know, I was at my real estate investors meetup, and I had a couple, right, that comes to my meetup every month, and I have them stand up, introduce themselves, and the one lady said, the wife said, you know, I don't have enough money to put for the down payment. I had the money guy in the room, the lender, that will give $5 million line of credit for investors. And she's telling him that she needs the money for the down payment, right? And I'm saying, well, wait a minute, stop. Who says you need your money?
Absolutely.
Who says it needs to be in your bank account?
There's your limiting belief, yeah. Right.
Where did you first learn that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who says that? Mm-hmm. Right? So what would you tell someone that has these stories about, you know, around money and around time, that wants to invest in real estate? Would you share with us, please?
What I would do with something like that, you know, if they have excuses, and they really are excuses, it's a matter of limiting beliefs and confidence, but their excuses really are their excuses. And I think that one of the things I would look for is to find their passion, because it's easier to do something when you find exactly what, you know, makes them excited. Okay? And then when it comes to learning, even if they're talking about limited time, I realize, look, everybody's got some crazy schedules now. They probably have kids and everything else that has to be done. I always say to them, the ones that complain about time, give me 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Let's chunk this, okay?
Chunk?
15, yeah.
I love the word.
let's take this in pieces. Give me 15 minutes today, and then work on it 15 minutes tomorrow. And you have 15 minutes, right? You know, for self-development, to change your life, to make something different. You know, I would normally take somebody, you know, that is overwhelmed, and likely they are overwhelmed. They're feeling, the person you're talking about is feeling like they don't have enough money and they don't have enough time. And I would change it into increments where they feel that they could, I mean, having that investor guy was great right in the room. Like, okay, well, we have money.
He had just talked. Like I literally, and it was kind of a bonus round. He just showed up, and I was like, you know what? You guys need to hear from this guy. Come up here. And I said, tell them about what you got, please. Because I do business with them. I said, please tell these guys about what you have, because I think what you have is going to be a lot of value. And he had just talked to the whole group. Right. And still, this person, had this belief. And that's okay, right? That's okay. You meet people where they are, and you help them get to where they need to get to.
Yes.
You meet people where they are, and you help them get to where they need to get to. But you said something very, very, very key. And I'm always talking about this. I mean, I almost mention this in every episode on this on this podcast. And you said exactly, find your passion. You help them find their passion. And when you help people find their passion, what is that? That is helping them get clarity in their life. And clarity is power. Once you have clarity on what it is you want, and this is what Tina helps you do, once you get clarity on what your passion is, what it is you want. So if we talk about real estate, what is it that you want? Why do you want to invest in real estate, right? What's the real reason? A lot of people think, Tina, so I'm hosting an event, and I think I mentioned this to you, November 13th and 14th of 2020, which is goal setting, and so we're doing a lot of mindset stuff and strategizing. And people think, and I'm going to challenge my listeners right now, a lot of you listening think that you want to be a real estate investor, or that you're a real estate investor for the money. It's never the money, Tina. You and I both know that. It's never the money. We go 7 levels deep as to why you want to. That's one of the things I do. We go 7 levels deep as to why, real estate investing is important to you. And you'll give me some superficial, really good, cool thing. Because I want to be free, blah, blah, blah. And by the time we're done, it's usually something that happened between the ages of 0 and 6 in your life. That is not about the money, but what the money can do for you and experiences it can create for you and the security, and your unconscious mind just gets really, really clear. Once you understand that, like what you just said, find your passion. Once you understand why you're doing, why, your real why, and it's not what you think it is. It's not because I want to provide for my family, I want to have this big. It's usually not that, because here's what I found, Tina, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, but what I found is that when people say, like, I want to make $1 million, right? I want to make $1 million, or I want let me bring it down a little bit. I want to make $100,000, right? I want to make $100,000. They're making $50,000. I want to make $100,000, and they don't know why. And I'm talking about not just to have a bigger house or to have a nicer car. That's not your real why, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's not your real why. No. Okay, it's not your real why, and they don't know their real why. It's very easy to walk away when things get tough.
Yes.
Let me give you an example of my why. For instance, my why. I grew up in New York City, and my mom it was 4 of us and my little sister. So it was my 2 stepbrothers, a stepbrother and a stepsister. My sister and I, it was 4 of us, and then my little sister was born from the marriage. So it was 5 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
My mom took the kitchen, she split it in half, the kitchen, and she put 2 bunk beds, and I would sleep on the top bunk with my brother, twin-size bunk, and my sister would sleep with my other sister in the bottom bunk, right? And my unconscious mind made a decision that was not what I wanted for my life, that I was going to do better. That I was going to do better than that. I was not going to provide that type of life for my children. Unconsciously, I made this, right? Mm-hmm. That's my real why. So when things get tough, when I get a call like the one I got this morning from my property manager, you heard me kind of getting into it with her, right? When I got a call from like the one I got this morning, right? That doesn't stop me from achieving my goal. I think about that, and when I think about that, and I link that experience to my purpose and my why, that little experience means absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting that you should say this, because I was thinking about this on the way over today. But, a lot of times when people have experiences like that, they think in the negative. Like, oh, this was bad. I can't do it because I had no money growing up. This experience happened, that experience happened. But what you did was you took the fixed mindset and you have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Yes.
So your growth mindset said, yes, I want to make something out of this. This was uncomfortable. This was not what I had intended for my life. And we take that discomfort sometimes and use it as an excuse to not achieve. Whereas somebody like you who has that growth mindset says, this was the experience I had, I want more. I want better for my kids. And you used it and let that experience, which is how it's intended, to catapult you into what you wanted to do. And that's really important. I use that for people sometimes too. You know, well, my experience is this. Well, that's your experience. That's not who you are. That's your experience. Now, what would you like to do with that experience now that you have this knowledge? Where would you like to take that? You know?
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. You know, I think I was mentioning to you the other day, Tina, I put a post on my news feed in Facebook, 16-year-old version of me and my 42-year-old version of me, and I did hypnosis on myself, right? I kind of did it, and I did it unconsciously, right? I kind of did it unconsciously because I went into a state of taking my 16-year-old self. I literally went into my mindset as a 16-year-old kid, and I said, okay, kid, if you were to come into your 42-year-old, if you had to spend a day with your 42-year-old self, what would that look like? What would you say? What would you say? And I thought, and I said, holy smoke, if my 16-year-old version was to come and look now, he would not believe what we've accomplished. He would not believe from 14 to 16 years old, my mom kicked me out 9 times out of the house. And I look at that and I say, without that experience, without that one experience in my life, that one, I wouldn't be the man I am today. I'm grateful for the experience. But for many years, I was very, very resentful of my mom. For many years, I was very resentful. I talked to you about this. I was very hurt about it. Right. But I looked at that and I said, if I was to go in and look at my 42-year-old self, I would say to myself, holy smoke, you're doing what? You're teaching, you're doing this, you're doing that. I hate school, right? Whoa, we did all of that. You married that girl? You sleep with that girl? You have those kids? What? right? This is what my 16-year-old self would be saying to me if he had the opportunity to spend a day. But here's the thing. It was that 16-year-old, in his foolish ways in a lot of ways, it was that 16-year-old's grit, ambition, determination, that mindset. And I didn't have no idea, by the way. It's not like I had read a book or anything. I took that energy and I said, I'm going to improve the world. Right. I'm going to do better. It was coming from that place. And it worked for me, right? It worked for me. And I'm grateful to that 16-year-old kid. Absolutely. For not being a victim, for not playing a victim. I played the victim. Let me reframe that. I played the victim for a while, right? I played the victim because I was angry at my mom. But I didn't let the victimhood determine my outcome, my desire. I took that victimhood and I said, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm going to prove my mom. I'm going to prove everyone. Now, my mom and I are super close. Super close. And I'm grateful. Nice for me to hear. and I'm grateful for the experience. Right. I'm grateful for the experience because without it, I wouldn't be the man I am today. Actually, I would even dare to say, guys, that without that experience, I wouldn't host this podcast. I wouldn't have the courage. Like all of those experiences, I've taken all of those tough experiences. You know, it takes a lot of guts to get on a microphone and talk and do and you know, it takes that takes some courage, you know, criticism and all that stuff. Putting yourself out there. Yeah, putting yourself out there like that, right? But once you reframe yourself, and this is a message for my audience, is once you reframe yourself and you say, hey man, if I could do that, if I survive that, I could do anything. I could do anything. You know what I mean? So as a hypnotherapist, what advice would you give someone that is right now? What can someone do on their own right now? Right? What can someone do on their own right now, Tina, to get out of their way? Right? Like, okay, so they don't have you, right? They don't have a coach. They They don't have you. They don't have you to walk them through. But what can they do on their own? Like, what exercise would you tell someone, hey, do this to help you get some clarity in your life?
I would tell them to spend less time in their negative thinking. Okay, we can all find excuses or reasons why we want to feel bad. Okay, we can find one if we're looking for it.
If you're looking for it.
How about looking for something good? I don't care if it's, you held the door for somebody and they complimented you on it. Whatever it is, find something that makes you feel good, focus on that, and then draw from that. Like that little chunking that I was talking about, draw from that. Then do something, beneficial for someone else. That always makes us feel good. And then build on that. And keep building on the good feelings. Notice the bad feeling, notice the good feeling, and then keep making a conscious decision to stay in that good feeling so that you could build on it and get somewhere. That's what I would say.
A lot of people have been conditioned to focus. And look, I'm gonna say this. It's not your fault, right? It's not your fault. I want to just say that it's not your fault. The negative thinking is not your fault. It's the way you are wired. We are wired to constantly look for the bad, to self-preserve. Your brain is wired that way.
Yes.
It takes some work to you to do what you just said.
It's work.
It takes some work for you to say, I'm going to open the door for someone, and whether they say thank you or not, it's about me doing the good act and feeling good and build on that. That's a good thing. I feel good about myself, and you keep building on that because your brain is just wired to look for what's bad, to self-preserve you, to protect you. This is why investors come with, new investors they make all these stories because they're trying to protect themselves. They're trying to self-preserve from losing money, from fear of pain.
Sure.
Pain,
absolutely.
Right? So it's not their fault that they think negative. But people have been preconditioned, and a lot of listeners maybe never even heard this type of conversation before, right? And they don't know when they're thinking negative because they've been doing it so long. Right? Some people have been doing it so long, they have no idea when they're thinking negative. How would you tell someone to start training themselves and identify when they are thinking negative or when they are going into that mindset of scarcity or that? How do you, what can they look for? What telltales?
Feelings.
Yes, feelings.
Okay?
Your body tells you.
Yeah, you do know. You're just not maybe aware. So what feels good to you? When you think about like, I happen to like to talk. I do this for a living, so this is an easy thing for me. So it's fun to get excited about that and to look forward to it. Why would I want to do something that's bad? But yet we still keep going into the same, like I call it a hamster wheel. We're right on that same hamster wheel feeling bad. All you have to do is really notice what feels good, investing, let's talk about that. I am constantly on looking at prices for different houses, looking at different features, looking at different things on different websites and places that I'm interested in going. Where I talked to you about that, my husband and I wanted to go someplace in the wintertime. And I'm constantly looking at that, what's available, kind of getting a feel of it. This feels good to me. The looking for things, finding different things that make me happy in places that I want to go. That feels good. Obviously, if I'm going to do something like, look at the taxes of, like New York or something like that, that's probably not going to feel as much fun to me as looking for a place to eventually spend some of your winters, It's just a matter of personal choice, realizing that you don't have to stay in that negative place all the time. I want to tell you another story about that negative place.
Please.
I did, this was in the beginning when I was doing hypnosis, and somebody came to me, not for hypnosis. I was doing actually energy work, but I was a trained hypnotist. They weren't interested in hypnosis. They didn't know anything about it. So this woman had come to me a lot, and she calls me up and tells me about her husband. My husband is having a hard time. your husband is having a hard time. Yeah, he can't walk. He's walking with a walker. Well, a month before that, when she was in with me, he was on his motorcycle, driving around. Everything was fine. I said, her name was Jean. I said, Jean, what's going on? She said, I don't know. Well, he comes in, and I start talking to him, all right? Just working with him and talking about his experiences, and he really wasn't very forthcoming. Somehow we got to the place that was really bothering him. His mother had passed away a long time before this, but for some reason a thought came to mind, and it was, he never actually even shared it with me. And he said that he was upset. He basically couldn't correct the thing that happened in the past. He was living in the past, feeling guilty, feeling all kinds of negative emotions. So he was negative. He walked with a walker. I couldn't even get him up to my home office, which was on the second floor. If I tell you I was shocked, it would be, an understatement. But he started talking about this, his mother. And as we were working together, I made him close his eyes. And exactly what you were talking about, your 16-year-old self, I put him back in that situation, and I made him recreate it the way he wanted it to go.
Powerful.
And to talk to his mom, okay? And settle that. And he did. And in 2 weeks, that man was back on his motorcycle, didn't have the walker anymore.
That's freaking awesome.
I know it's like incredible to even think of.
That is freaking awesome. Great job. I mean, this is the power of your unconscious mind. And,
yes.
And here's what I want people to understand, that when you work with someone like Tina, it's not, you are in control the whole time.
Yes.
You told him to recreate it the way he wanted to.
Yes.
I
didn't even hear the story.
Yeah, you don't need to. No. As hypnotherapists, we don't need to. We're just understand that a hypnotherapist is just your guide. That's the word I would use. I'm just your guide. I'm just guiding you through your journey so you can create it the way you want to create it.
Absolutely.
I'm not here to I'm here to guide you through it. Coach you, guide you through it to help you. And that is such an amazing story. That is the power of your unconscious mind, guys. And if you can work with a coach, or you can work with someone that can help you reprogram your belief systems, because the one thing you will find with very successful people is their unwavering belief system.
Yes.
And their confidence in themselves. That
Absolutely.
Confidence, that unwavering belief system, that belief, that I'm going to share this with you. When you think of Michael Jordan, I just saw The Last Dance, and Michael Jordan, one of the sportsmen of the century, right? Greatest basketball player that ever lived today. And he won 6 championships, and they were dismantling his team. That's when he retired. They were dismantling the whole team at the very end. And they asked him, they said, Michael, would you have gone again? He was like, absolutely, I would have gone again. He was like, absolutely, you just never know. I would have never known if I would not try. I mean, look at that mindset. I would have never known how would we know we couldn't win 7?
That's right.
How would we know? We didn't even try. I mean, the management didn't even try. They didn't even give us the opportunity. And then they asked him, they said, okay, Mike, if you would have won 7, if you would have gone next year and won again, would you gone again? He said, yeah, I would have wanted to go again. He was like, yeah, we would have wanted to go again. It's just that, you see that mindset?
Yes.
It's that mindset of winning and wanting to strive for more and just growth. And going back to that illustration you did when you went with that man and you took him back to his younger self and he recreated in his unconscious, and it doesn't have to, and I know this is woo-woo for some, but it doesn't have to be like, this is about you and what your unconscious mind has created in your head for you. This is about the person and what the unconscious mind created and the meaning and changing that meaning. Once that meaning is changed, you change.
Yes. Yes.
It
all starts with your mind.
Yes.
Everything does.
Yes. Yeah. You change, right? Going back to when I told you about my 16-year-old self, now what I've done is I future-paced myself to my 90-year-old self.
Nice.
Right? Future-paced myself to my 90-year-old self, and I see myself in a bed as an old guy with this legacy, and this is a vision I have in my head, with this legacy of my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren all around me. And maybe I'm in my deathbed, maybe I can't do much more, I'm just an old guy and I'm just, ready to go. And I see this vision of, okay, if I was to go in that and see that picture, what needs to happen right now for me to be proud of this 42-year-old version of me? Yeah. Right? What do I need to do? And that draws me, that motivates me, because my purpose is to, part of my purpose is to create generational wealth for my children and to impact the world in a positive way. Hence why I do this podcast. One of the reasons I do this podcast is to impact people in a positive way.
Absolutely.
But I'm playing full out, man. I'm playing the game of life. I'm leaving it like Michael Jordan. I'm leaving it all on the table.
Right.
I'm leaving it all on the table. So when I think about, hey, do I do this deal? Do I not do this deal? I'm playing it full out. I'm not going to be 90 thinking I should have bought that restaurant. I bought a restaurant a few years ago. It was a terrible experience for me, but I learned a ton. And I say a terrible experience because while I was experiencing it, talk about feelings, right? Let me share this with you, Tina. The minute I closed on that deal, I own the restaurants up the street here next to Starbucks or pizzeria. Go figure, right? A freaking Dominican guy owning pizzeria. right? So the minute I closed on this deal, the minute I signed, you talk about knowing, like your feeling. Remember I asked you earlier about, hey, how do people know when I knew?
Right.
Like I literally signed, and my body just said, something ain't right here. My body just told me. My unconscious mind just connected my body and just told me something's not right here. And from that moment on, right, I owned that restaurant, and that very moment I bought that restaurant. I gotta tell you, restaurant business, kudos to those that do it, love, eat, great, keep it, because I need to go eat at places, right?
Yes.
But it's not
I'm
for
hungry
me.
Now. Yeah.
But it's not for me. I learned so much about myself through it. I lost a bunch. I lost 50 grand in this deal. I lost a ton of money. But I learned so much, Tina. So much. And I take that experience as part of my entrepreneurship journey. Absolutely. And most important, what I learned about myself during this time. What I learned about myself. I remember being in my restaurant, being here in my office, walking, because it's only a block away from here, walking to the restaurant. My wife would be there with the kids in the daytime, and then I would go and be there with one of the kids at nighttime. And I remember closing everything up and mopping the floors in my restaurant and listening to audiobooks, right? Just getting better, and getting so much clarity in my life and understanding how much I hated it. Right? I realized this is not me. I don't identify with this.
Right.
And I learned that, and I learned something new about myself through this.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to take the experience and see it. I remember literally having this conversation with myself. I'm going to take this experience and learn and propel myself to the next level, to the next thing.
Absolutely.
And it was, I've never been to college, never stepped a day in college, but it was one of my entrepreneurship
You had a learning experience, yes.
I had a real learning experience, and now, that earns me the right to teach entrepreneurs. Hey,
That's
get clear. I bought it because, why I bought it? I bought it because I had some money, and I wanted to figure out a way to invest, and I don't know what I was thinking, man. I had this dream. We always had this dream. I want to own a restaurant because I like to cook. So, if you were to come to my house, I would cook for you, and it just makes me feel good when I cook for my friends and the people I love.
Right.
And I confused the two. I thought that I would be cooking and own a restaurant and get that same feeling, and it did not.
No, a lot more work.
Yeah, I did not like it at all. I didn't like it.
Well, when I started, hypnosis, I love doing it. Unfortunately, a lot of it's marketing. So you better love marketing, or you're in big trouble. So I totally get that. Had I known that, I'm not sure I would have done it. I might not have made that jump, but you really do learn along the way, and you realize that it's not as overwhelming as you thought it would be. I might look at it and say, well, I'm not a marketer. Well, you know what? you learn to be a marketer, and you learn exactly what you need to do, and you learn what you like and what you don't. You know, there's plenty of choices as long as you take the ones you like. Yeah.
And if you don't know how to do it well, bring someone on that can, a partner. So get resourceful, right? Because we teach people is our most important ability, our most important asset is our resourcefulness. Not your money, is your ability to get resourceful. Figure it out. Ask yourself questions. Get,
I've taken more classes on that because I really had no idea, and I just kept looking for the information that I was looking for, and just kept pulling it in. You have to, you know. I talked to everyone. I found every guru and things like that. If you let something stop you, you know, then your dream is kind of like, you know, gone. You know,
it's like this business in the real estate investing world. You know, one of the things I had to teach myself, and in high school I was a CD student. Literally, Tina, I just wanted a 65.
Let me get out of here.
And I'm done. Give me my diploma. I'm out. Right? I'm out. Just give me my diploma. I'm out. And I didn't even graduate on time because I had a math class. So I know a lot of very successful entrepreneurs. They were good in math and science. I will tell you that I was not good in math, just because I just didn't care for school. Period. I didn't care for school. My favorite subject, believe it or not, was English. And I remember going one day to my English teacher, Ms. Baum, and I said, Ms. Baum, I was sitting in the front row. I really liked this teacher. And I said, Ms. Baum, you know, do I have an accent? Right? She was this white lady, blonde lady. I really liked Ms. Baum. And she goes, no, Martin, a little bit. And I was so appalled by that. I was like, really? I have an accent? Really? Like, my mom has an accent. Like, you know, my family has. I was born here. What are you talking about? I don't have an accent. Right? And that kind of messed with me a little bit. And yet, here I am, right? I'm a speaker now. And I do all these things. I don't care about my accent anymore. It's just, I embrace it, right? And I know I have an accent now. My wife calls me on it every time, right? Every time I do something. She calls me on it. But, you know, a lot of guys, entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, they say they love math. I could tell you I didn't, but here's what happened. As I realized in my journey in entrepreneurship, I realized that I better love the numbers. So I started working on my mindset. And one of the mantras I say to myself is, I love numbers and numbers love me. I love numbers and numbers love me. I better love numbers if I'm going to invest. Yes. I better love numbers. Yes. And you know what? I do now. You know why? Because it equates with money and I like making money.
Right. So exactly what we started to talk about. Your limiting belief was from school you got the message that you didn't like it. And that's where people usually stop. But you didn't stop there. You didn't. You kept going until you liked what you were doing, you know, until you made it happen the right way.
I reframed it,
Yeah, which is exactly that, which is deciding, no, it was maybe that math class, maybe a teacher.
It was a teacher.
Like,
the teacher was horrible. Oh my gosh, the teacher was horrible.
I get confused.
Yeah, the teacher was horrible. My math teacher was, and he was the head of the math department. So I remember going to this guy. So I was 16 years old, 17 years old, whatever I was at my senior year. And I went to this guy and I begged him. Tina, I begged him like a couple days before the last year of school. I knew I was failing. And I begged him. I was like, I forgot his name at this point. I deleted it. My mind deleted it and distorted it. My unconscious mind doesn't even want to remember the guy's name. And I went to this guy and I was like, please, I'm not going to graduate if I don't pass this class.
Right.
Like, I need this one credit. You're the only piece, right? You're the only piece that I need to get my full credit and walk down the aisle and graduate. And he refused. He said no.
Wow.
He said no, he would not do it. He would not do it, and I had to go to night school the next year, that next semester, and then get my diploma. So that was an experience too, right? And I guess that was part of my trauma with math.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was part of my trauma with math and numbers, and I just kind of ignored it, and I had to reframe myself into, wait a minute, that's not who I am.
Right.
If I am going to be a successful entrepreneur, I better learn this stuff. And by the way, I didn't learn this. I learned this at an event, at a personal development event, at a business entrepreneur event. You better love your numbers. You better know how to measure. You better measure.
Yeah.
what gets measured gets improved, they say, right? So Tina, to wrap it up, how do people get a hold of you? Someone's listening to you and they're saying, man, she's awesome. I want to hire her, bring her on as my, as my coach, as my hypnotherapist. Maybe she could help me with some of these limiting beliefs, which, I highly recommend that you do, right? We all have limiting beliefs. I have some limiting beliefs myself, right? We all have limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. The question is, some of us don't have the coaches or the right people asking you the right questions. And if you don't have people like myself or Tina around you, and I'm not saying, like I just said, I have limiting beliefs myself on certain things, on certain levels, and unless someone challenges me that is skilled to challenge me, that can hear my language and say, wait a minute, that language, where did you first learn that? Where's that story coming from? And it's like, unless you have someone like that challenging you, calling you on your stories, it's going to be very hard to get out of your limiting beliefs. Right. So how do people reach you, Tina?
They could find me on Tina Pineiro LifeSolutions.com online. Or you want to give my phone number too?
Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, okay. Sure.
570-352-3048. And I just wanted to say that, it's a pleasure talking to you and interacting with you. And you have done the same thing for me in challenging some of my old beliefs, and I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's not often that happens with me. I don't meet the person that can do that or will do that for me. So it's a real pleasure.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Again, a lot of times I just do this unconsciously, right? It's just unconscious thing for me, where the minute, like you said to me the other day, you said to me, you're a healer, you do this, and I just hear the stories and my unconscious mind's just got this little radar. Boop, where is that story coming from? Where do you decide? When did you decide that? It's just, who says that? Where did that come from, right? And it's just like, wait a minute. And then it's just pattern, it interrupts people's patterns and their way of thinking, and it's like, wait a minute, where did I learn that, right? Where did I learn that? So thank you so much. Again, I do it unconsciously, so I'm glad that you didn't. I'm glad that you didn't take any offense to it. I just do it. People are around me, and I'm just constantly challenging. Real quick, I'll share the story with you. I have a close friend, really close friend. I won't mention her name. We're really, really good friends. We became friends because I used to sit on a board, and she was the acting CEO of this particular company, and we're just a lot alike. We're a lot alike, and we became really close friends. And I'm on the phone with her yesterday, and she attended my meet. She had gone through a really tough breakup a year ago, and she was in her way, and she was down. Breakups could be hard sometimes, and she was down, and she was struggling with her confidence and stuff like that. And last year, November 2019, I said to her, come to my event. You're my friend, free. Just come. You need this. Just come to my event. And she did. We got clear. She set her goals. We worked on a lot of stuff because we're friends, right? So it's not like when you're friends with someone, it's not like you can just coach them, just come in my office. You can't do that, right? You just can't be like, all right, let me just coach you. Let me just work through this with you. You can't do that. It's different. It's just. You know what I'm talking about. You just can't do that, right? You do it subtly through conversations and things like that, but you just can't coach them. No. But in this group setting was perfect because that gave me the right to coach her, right? In a group setting. So she came through this event, and we got clear. She set her goal. She set her timeline. Boom, boom, boom. We got all these things done. And yesterday I'm on the phone with her. I hadn't talked to her in a while. And she goes, Martin, I'm with this new gentleman she's with, and really sweet guy, really great guy, awesome guy. Really love this guy for her. Good. And she was like, and she goes, if, something weird, she says to me, something weird happened. I go, what? She goes, I don't feel like if I want to go do something and he doesn't want to, I just feel like I could just go do it, and I don't necessarily. It's okay if he doesn't want to come with me. I'm okay going by myself. And I was like, Jody, man, I said her name, but I was like, man, do you realize how proud of you I am? Because I'm so freaking proud of you. You realize that last year this time you would not said that to me. Right.
Wow. Wow.
You wouldn't have said that to me. I attribute a lot of that to some of the work that we did on that workshop.
Absolutely.
I attribute a lot of that to some of just that confidence, just that level of confidence that she exuded in the conversation. I'm really proud of her. I'm really, really proud of her. But this is what I'm talking about, working on yourself, putting the time, investing in yourself. Tina, thank you so much for being here. Again, guys, if you want to reach Tina Pineiro, Life Solutions, at Life Solutions, right?
Yes.
TINAPINEIRO at lifesolutions.com. Her cell phone is 570-352-3048. Again, guys, thank you for listening. You've been listening to Latinos in Real Estate Investing podcast, and we will see you soon. If you really like what you heard here, please share it. If someone you know needs to listen to this, please share it. Please share it. Leave us a positive review. We really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.